It is one thing to start a new Jandek era, especially when it's one we don't talk about as much. However, the heart of the jungle is where you realize how prepared you were. This project of mine is now bringing me up close and personal with albums I have usually ignored. Occasionally I'll play one of the songs on YouTube, but most of the time these records simply fill the gaps in my collection. Therefore, it is especially difficult to start one of these reviews. That has always been the hardest part, but now I don't have the same passion as I did with 6 and 6 or Glad to Get Away, so now the passion must come after the review. Talking about difficulty got me through this introduction, but unfortunately, I probably won't be so lucky in the following reviews. I have always treated today's album as the cousin of its predecessor, since it has a similar feel and was released the same year. However, I Threw You Away seems to be the fan favorite of the two, perhaps benefiting from its status as the first of its kind. It took me until this month to really pay attention to the humility of pain. Some might prefer it since the songs are shorter, and personally I now find the guitar playing more enjoyable since there's more fretting. Not to mention, there is less reverb on the vocals, making them a bit more intelligible. What holds the record back are the weaker lyrics. Exhibit A would be the song I Want to Look In, while others merely include sections that are hard to analyze. Fortunately, for this period, that still leaves us with something that's average at worst. Immediately, we are treated to the title track, whose message involves understanding the personalities of others. Some will really test your self-esteem, even though that's just their personalities talking and it has nothing to do with you. Realizing this will help you live your best life. I'm not sure how the title relates to this, and Jandek does go off on a tangent later on, but overall this song is at least better than the previous title track. Up next we have Work of Art, the track that always stood out to me for some reason. I guess I like when the title could describe the song itself. This is one of Jandek's riddle songs, focusing on something that rotates, moves like a cloudy day, sorts itself out, and can wrap around the world. You could have a lot of fun interpreting it, but there's no need to dwell on it very much. I treat it like a game of paddleball. Instrumentally, the finest work on the album is perhaps the aggressive strumming on I Stepped Out of It, especially the intro. That title will tell you what the first few lyrics are about. The narrator has a tendency to step out of things, which could mean that he's a quitter. The rest is fairly nonsensical, although one line in particular has grown on me.
And why am I doing this? Because you let me.
There's no telling what he's talking about, but I like to think it's about his career. Skipping the next track will bring you to I Can't Leave a Clue, which is currently my favorite on the album. The music may not sound happy, but I detect some optimism in the lyrics. As long as we have love and knowledge in our lives, Jandek believes miracles are always within reach. All we have to do is open the door and make ourselves available. The man himself is undergoing that process, but he decides that his belongings, which represent his past, should be left behind, lest they serve as a clue about his original self.
I'll go through that door.
This reminds me of how Jandek burnt all the novels he wrote, so I guess he couldn't open the door with the books reminding him of his failures. For this fun bit of speculation, I deem this the only essential track on the album. Share My Life is a decent song where Jandek invites someone to be his companion. Once again, this is about abandoning the past, as shown by the immortal line, "Let's make the clock disappear." Apparently he can't do that by himself. Several words are repeated, but I would say they are the right words for that. Overall, this song complements the last one nicely, which is a neat little feature for this album. Meanwhile, the album closer, You Know You Need, is less memorable. The only notable feature is that Jandek is talking about a house again, except this time it's about cleaning it, so that we don't get bored with all our unnecessary items. Otherwise, the lyrics meander a lot, yet the closing line about the refrigerator still sounds like it came out of nowhere. Maybe he just happened to be looking at one. Like the last record, Jandek treats us to a vacation photo on the cover, although I consider this one an improvement. The location is unknown, which works to the picture's advantage. Because of the streets and the cathedral, the last one was easier to replicate, while this one shows a nameless alley. By using it for his music, he essentially made the alley his own. Also, the colors and the lighting make it seem more like a painting, so it's a cover I'd like to frame sometime. As for the album itself, it may not be as memorable as I Threw You Away, but it does have its advantages. If you can't handle the whole album, or you just don't have time, skip ahead to tracks 5 and 6 for a healthy dose of this music. Just save room for the other albums coming up, because they don't get any easier to digest.